Pokemon TCG Pocket's brand new set Mythical Island releases in about 16 hours from the recording of this video. That means Genetic Apex's reign as the only current set will be over, and that'll have dramatic implications on the meta.
What's up guys, it's me Mochi. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I can eat.
Now before Mythical Island comes out and stirs the pot, I wanted to do a quick recap and review of the current top 5 meta decks in Pokemon TCG Pocket. At the top of the list is Pokemon's mascot Pikachu EX. Now there are two variations of this deck you'll commonly see ran. The main one will be Pikachu combined with Voltorb and Electrode, and the secondary deck is typically a Pikachu, Lieutenant Surge, Raichu, and Magneton deck. Pikachu is an extremely popular deck for its ease to use. It's a pretty beginner-friendly deck. It also does a great job of countering some of the other meta decks, particularly Starmie EX and Mewtwo. Now the main goal of this deck is to get your Pikachu EX either set up on field if you're versing a non-threatening deck, or on your bench with 2 energies. All the while you want to load your bench with a maximum amount of Pokemon. This allows you to use an X speed and get your Pikachu EX on field. Once it gets going, it's pretty hard to stop. There's a reason Pikachu EX is the equal most popular deck and has the highest win rate of any deck in tournament formats. Now you're probably thinking the next deck is going to be Mewtwo EX on the list, but the next S tier deck is actually Starmie EX. Now, Starmie has the second highest win rate in tournament formats according to Limitless TCG. Its popularity is nowhere near that of Pikachu or Mewtwo, but results speak for themselves. Now, the Starmie EX deck is pretty stock standard. You would have seen this. It generally consists of only 6 Pokemon. It has 2 Staryus, 2 Starmie EX, and an Articuno EX ×2. Now, the optimal setup for the Starmie EX deck is to start with Articuno EX. Articuno EX goes to your active position and becomes your tank. Once on field, you can throw a Misty at Articuno EX, and if you do happen to roll 1, 2, or 3 heads with Misty, you can get an Articuno EX doing 40 to 80 damage pretty much instantly. Meanwhile, you'll have your Staryu/Starmie on the bench, and you'll be setting those up in the background with your energy from your energy zone. If Articuno is low enough, you switch Articuno out with your X speeds, you bring Starmie on, and you sweep. Now it's Mewtwo's turn. So Mewtwo has a win rate of 52.3%. It is the 3rd highest tournament win rate according to Limitless TCG, and it's the most popular deck, slightly edging out Pikachu. I do actually recall a recent tournament where 6 of the top 10 placed players were actually running Mewtwo EX and Gardevoir. This deck I've ranked at S-, only because it's actually a lot harder to ramp up than Pikachu or Starmie. Pikachu and Starmie get going really quickly, really easily. Mewtwo relies a little bit on RNG. If you don't get your Gardevoir set up early, you can be countered very, very easily. And this shows in some of the games I've played on stream, some of the games you would have played. Mewtwo can be beaten if they get bad draws. Now, there's a second variation of this deck I quite like, which utilizes a non-EX Mewtwo. That Mewtwo functions similarly to Articuno in the Starmie deck. It becomes the meat shield, the tank on field, which absorbs all the hits. If it dies, you only lose 1 point. All the while, you want to be setting up your Mewtwo and Gardevoir on the bench. In the version that only runs 2 EXs, one of the Mewtwo EXs typically serves that role. Alternatively, you start with Ralts on field, pray you get a second one. Start feeding energies into a Mewtwo EX on your bench if you can, and X-speed the Ralts out when you get your Curlier and Gardevoir. Mewtwo is definitely the hardest of the 3 decks so far to stop once it gets going, but it's also the hardest to set up. The next deck on the list is Articuno EX. Now you might be thinking Articuno EX is in the Starmie deck. Well, there's actually an Articuno deck where it's just Articuno and 18 trainer/item cards. This deck has risen to prevalence for a few reasons. One, you can only ever draw a basic Pokemon on your first turn, so you're guaranteed to draw the Articuno EX. And the whole point here is to use your items, Misty, potions, stall as much as you can to get your Articuno built up, doing massive damage. Articuno EX 2-shots most EXs, with a couple of exceptions in Machamp, Blastoise, and also Venusaur, and probably 1 or 2 others I'm forgetting. It is a very strong and very good card, plus the splash damage it does with Blizzard is very, very nice. Obviously, the ideal way to play this deck is to get Articuno down and then just throw Misty down and pray. If you don't get the Misty, you just start building it up manually and get your second Articuno on the bench, hopefully as soon as possible, and start setting that up if it looks like you're not going to get your on-field one set up fast enough. Charizard is next on the list. It has the 5th highest win rate according to Limitless TCG at 51.5%. Now, Charizard, the deck is pretty straightforward. It effectively just involves running the Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard cards with 2 Moltres EXs. The idea here is Moltres EX is on field, and it feeds energies with its ability going straight to Charmander. Those Inferno Dances come off, and you can feed those energies to Charmander quick enough, and you get the Charizard early enough. It again is pretty hard to stop. There is, of course, a variation of this deck which runs Arcanine EX. which isn't quite as popular yet, but in my opinion will probably overtake this in win rate going forward. That version of the deck is essentially the same, except you add in at least 1 to 2 Growlithe and Arcanines. You can either run 1 Arcanine or 2. It's generally user preference. Normally you just drop a couple of item cards, but a very good card as well with, I believe, over a 50% win rate. Popularity is not there, only 1.4% popularity, but it is sitting on a 50% win rate in tournament formats. And the Articuno EX actually took out the top place in that tournament I mentioned earlier, where 6 of the top 10 were Mewtwo. That was actually won by an Articuno EX deck. So on that note, honorable mentions do go to Greninja, Articuno EX, the Blaine deck, Blastoise EX, Marowak, Wigglytuff. There are some very good decks just a step down, which are kind of just under the 50% win rate, but they're still pretty good. The Ninetales Blaine deck in particular is quite popular with 4% played and a 49.3% win rate. But that's going to be the video, guys. I just wanted to do a quick recap of where the current meta is at before Mythical Island drops tomorrow and changes everything. Of the top 5 decks we've talked about today, what's your favorite? What have you played the most? Post it in the comments below. I'd love to read your answers. I consider myself an off-meta gamer. I've only ever tried Starmie EX. I've never played Pikachu, never played Mewtwo, never played Articuno, and never played Charizard. I do actually want to play Charizard. Well, I want to play Arcanine, but I've not managed to pull the Moltres EX despite having over 2,000 cards. It's crazy. That's it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for the next one. Until then, goodbye from me and goodbye from... Wait, hold on. On your bed. Get on your bed. Get on your bed. Get on your bed. And goodbye from Mochi. See you guys.